Okay, the other wing has been assembled. You might be able to see it in the back. And now, fuselage. Landing gear goes on with 3 Allen head screws and appears to be very, very sturdy. Quite the little box it's mounted to. Next up, we're going to put the wheels on, and I'll take care of that and be back here in a minute. Okay, so here we go. We got the mains on. Next up is the tail wheel and the wheel pants. Nice little wheel pants. Just 2 screws each. And actually, whoa, they even put a little metal on the inside. It's interesting putting these wheels on because it took 2 13mm wrenches, a socket and a box wrench to install that. And one of the things that I've really noticed about the newer airplanes is that the landing gear on them is chronically weak. I don't think you can say that about this airplane. These landing gear are something else. I guarantee you, you'll break the fuselage a long time before you'll break the landing gear, and the fuselage built out of plywood is pretty darn strong. So next up, we'll put the wheel pants on, and then install the tail wheel, and be back in a minute. Okay, we got our wheel pants on, and I was right, it's the tail wheel that goes on next. However, before the tail wheel goes on, the tail has to go on. So I'm going to have to read the instructions on that. Just amazed at how well this thing is going together. Everything that I've put on this airplane so far fits exactly like it should. The holes line up, everything according to the directions, incredibly detailed directions. This probably won't be my last SIG model. This is unbelievable. In the process of installing the tail, I ran into the first little glitch. This was supposed to have had the film removed, but it didn't. Solid covered. So all I did was take the rudder, fit it on top of the elevator like so, and use that to trim both sides with a good sharp knife. Oh, there we go. That'll fit perfectly. So next up, we're going to have to position the tail on here, pin it on, measure wingtip to tail tip, and then glue it on with epoxy. And as you can see, yep, you can see it now. Okay, yep, just checking the camera. Yeah, and here it is in all of its glory except for the tail. We're actually going pretty fast here. I'm amazed. So I'm going to take a break, have some lunch, and be right back. Okay, so now we got the model sitting up here, and I have glued the horizontal stabilizer and elevator assembly on with 30-minute epoxy. Slow drying stuff, gives me time to work with it. And I figured out that the best way to make sure that it was aligned correctly was to use a level. And the table's not quite level. And that's pretty good. That's just a little bit off. And to measure these two, it's 23 3/4 from the back of the pilot's compartment on both sides now. Yep, 23 3/4. So it's aligned this way and this way both. So I think we got it. Next up, after that dries, is the rudder. This looks really good. Everything measures up. I think the stabilizers are totally vertical. Maybe not. I think maybe vertical stab needs just a little bit of movement. Eyeballing it. Looks pretty good. Let's check it with the level. Yep, that is dead level. Okay. All right, so the tail is on. I did run into one little issue. I forgot to, according to instructions, you're supposed to put the rudder on after all the rest of this is put on. But I had gone ahead and glued up a couple of hinges here, and there's another hinge down here that I forgot about. But I managed to, because of this nice slow drying glue, managed to get the rudder back off, put the hinge in, and when all this gets good and dry, I'll go back and put some thin CA on that one too. So this is going to have to dry a while, but everything's looking pretty good. Going to need to put in a couple of control rods, get the radios all set up. Still haven't figured out quite how this hatch goes off. There it comes. Oh, it's just magnetic. Okay, so in here we have a battery tray all set up. Yay. Or it could be a fuel tank. Looks like it's going to need some Velcro put in here, a little Velcro in the base. Let's see here, back in there I can see my transmitter tray. Yep, which I think I'll be able to get to. In the wings, looks like everything's going to work out just fine. Don't quite know where the receiver's going to, I think I said transmitter, the receiver's going to go. But we'll see. This thing's really set up for electric power, more so I think than gas. Then we get to mount the engine, put the ESC in, and then there's a cowling that might or might not go on the front. The classic gas-powered model did not have a cowling, but they've built one for the electric model. We'll see if it works or not. And a couple more servos to put in, servo trays under here, along where the receiver goes, and then we'll be just about finished. Or a canopy, pilot, and finally the decals have to go on, of course.